Mm. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to See Blissfully Lit podcast. I'm your host, Sammy, and I am thrilled to introduce Kelly Hase this lovely evening that we are interviewing. Kelly, thank you for joining me today. Could you start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Sammy. Thank you so much for having me. It is great to see you again. And a little bit about me. So, I was born and raised in Florida, and through my time there, long story short, I had some health issues, and that really got me onto the journey of finding natural health and support. And then through the years, I've acquired lots of initials behind my name, learned a lot of great things. I have helped a lot of people. I ended up getting a master's in nutrition in Portland, Oregon. I got my medical degree in naturopathic medicine in Arizona. And now my husband and I live in Moscow, Idaho. So it's been quite a journey through the United States, and I now have a private practice, deeply rooted healing haven, and I am also on the board as the director for the Idaho Association of Naturopathic Physicians. I've been on the board the last 2 years now, and now here we are.
That's incredible. You've moved around quite a bit throughout the United States.
hmm
So you said that you started your journey of natural medicine for yourself.
Yeah,
Could you share a
so
little bit more about that? I'm curious.
sure. So, my mom was instrumental in seeking alternative methods. Without listing everything, there was just a lot of health issues, tummy aches that would just go on that turned into lots of headaches and migraines and a lot of pain. I was a very active kid. I played a lot of sports. I was very studious. I always wanted to excel in everything I put myself towards. And so through the years, there was just a lot of accrual of diagnoses and health issues. And it kind of just kept piling up and following me through the years. I went to a lot of what would we call conventional doctors, specialists. They all had their insight, and it just no one was really talking to anybody else. And this was my personal experience. And so through all of that, started seeking out acupuncture and a nutritionist. And even though I was eating really healthy, certain things were just not the best for me. And so there were just a lot of components to it. And at one point in college, I was down to 9 foods that my body was able to eat. And I was working with someone and actually several people, several doctors, and I was up to 120 pills a day. And that was very challenging time of life. And so through that, I then was moved to Portland, Oregon to get my master's in nutrition. And it was there that I learned about naturopathic medicine. I had no idea what it was. I'd never been exposed to it. And through naturopathic medicine, I started getting healing, and I realized that's the kind of doctor that I wanted to be. Ever since I was 5, I always wanted to be a pediatrician. And then after going through all these life events, I realized I didn't want anybody else to have to experience all the different situations I went through. And so that's where I really just fell in love with naturopathic medicine as it views you as a whole person and not a part of a whole, and able to really see how the instruments work together and really hone in on what's the root cause of this concern, this issue, this disease, this pattern of not being well. And so I think naturopathic medicine found me.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Uh, what a journey to be that young and honestly to stay in school and stay committed to like your education and growth, even through the challenge of, you know, maintaining your health and doing well. That's really incredible feat that you made it through. You did mention that through the naturopathic doctor in Maine, if I remember correctly, um, you had healing. What kind of healing did you have?
Yeah, so I went to naturopathic medical school in Arizona, and through naturopathic medicine and pranic healing, that is what was the game changer combination for me. And I went from autoimmune disease, so many different diagnoses, to being completely healthy and cured now, and to not have autoimmune disease and be able to eat everything under the sun.
What a great feeling.
Yes, I'm so blessed and so grateful that to have received that and to have been on that journey that led me to naturopathic medicine and pranic healing.
Wow. So on the note of chronic healing and naturopathic medicine, I'm curious what magic means to you and how it maybe plays a role in your journey because it can mean a lot of different things to people.
Definitely. I guess for me, I view magic as kind of the divine spirit that helps guide you to choose someone because of that gut feeling, or to go a certain direction, or they put someone in your life, whether it's someone that needs to teach you a lesson, help you heal, your future spouse. I think it's all divinely guided. And when we open up to that and realize to take it in and that we are ultimately guided, it allows for a lot of those magic moments to occur. And we can write stories in our minds and how we want things to go. And I've been there, done that. And I feel like what actually happens is more beautiful than I ever could have written in my journal or diary as a kid. And just follow the magic.
Wow, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing. So you mentioned magic and being guided. Did you perhaps have any experiences around meeting your spouse?
I did. It's one of our favorite stories to share. And I will say, I think it's better when we share it together. Obviously, I will share it now because we really play off of each other. But it was one of those divine magic moments. And so I'll back up a little bit for a tiny bit of backstory. So at this time of life, I had um, graduated college, taken a gap year, was working for a high risk pregnancy office, and I wanted to look more competitive to get into medical school. And so I was deciding between two different masters. And so ultimately, I just kept thinking about being in Portland. And that's where I got the master's in nutrition. And so, for whatever reason, every time I got in the shower, I would think about being in Portland, probably because it rains a lot there. And in the shower, it's kind of like it's raining. And these two thoughts came to mind of I want to learn how to mountain bike and I want to learn yoga. I hadn't done either of those two things at that point in my life. And so then decisions day came. I chose to move to Portland, get my master's in nutrition. And the weekend before class started, there was a camp trip, a revitalization retreat on one of the doctor's lands. And so my brother lived in the area, so I was able to borrow his camping gear. And I didn't know a single soul, but I love camping, I love being outdoors, and so I went. So then now, first person I meet is this man, Dr. Jim Massey, who's a naturopathic doctor, and he taught me all about naturopathic medicine. I was like, mind blown. This is really the kind of doctor I want to be. And so that completely changed the trajectory of which medical schools I applied to. And then the following day, I met his son. And the part of the story he normally shares is that at the time he lived in Colorado and he had come to Oregon for a four-man mountain bike race. Two of the men, something happened, they had to bail, and so there were only two left, so they couldn't compete. So when his dad got wind, he said, "Oh, well, then you're going to come with me to this camp out. You already have your camp gear." And so there was such divine timing
Oh
that
my
we
goodness.
got to meet at that camp out. And so I like to say my whole life changed in one weekend. I met my future spouse and the career of my dreams.
All listening to some pings that came to you while you were in the shower.
Absolutely.
That some would call magic, some would call intuition.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to hear what inspirations or teachings have significantly influenced your journey, maybe outside of medicine and outside of the typical like educational system.
Yeah. So I guess growing up, I learned a lot growing up in the church and was really grateful for all the different teachings and Bible studies and lessons through that upbringing. And so that I think helped me then later when I learned about Arhonic yoga and kind of the higher teachings of pranic healing that Grandmaster Choa Kaksui is the modern founder of. And he is so wise and explained all of these incredible concepts in really easy to understand ways. And through that, I've come to understand that there are so many different levels of truth that are part of every aspect of life. And we all have different levels of awareness. We're all here to grow and learn different lessons in this life, which is the beauty of community and sharing with one another. No one person is exactly the same. And honoring that and knowing that we can support others in helping them learn life lessons that we have perhaps already learned. And so when I really was taught this through pranic healing and Arhatic yoga, it made so much sense. And initially, I was very skeptical growing up in the church, and my experience was a little bit more just believe, not necessarily create a critical thinking mind. And
Mm.
I feel like through pranic healing and Arhatic yoga, they're very much have a critical thinking mind. And when I finally understood, I didn't have to choose being a Christian or between that or being pranic healer and Arhatic yogi, that they were the same, just different levels of truth and understanding. That was one of the biggest takeaways and things that I've learned.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I I believe I had a similar experience to you
Yeah.
upon finding it. And I think the fact of choice and um, self-discovery, critical thinking, um, being the scientist and exploring the concepts on your own was
Mhm.
was a big draw for me instead of just being told like this is how it is, or like you said, just believe.
Mhm.
I think that that really defines a teacher and uh, lessons and wisdom from somebody if they encourage you to explore how they found it.
Absolutely. And it was really remarkable. I felt like I learned even deeper teachings about the Bible and the stories through learning pranic healing or Hatha yoga, especially the book Inner Teachings of Christianity Revealed that Master Choa Kaksui wrote, that taught me so many things. And I always laugh because at one point in life, when I was in college, I was in 5 different Bible studies. And I'm like, wow, I'm still learning so much and so grateful.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Uh, I have a follow-up question. As someone who inspires change and inspires getting to the root, critical thinking, that exploration of what is, what message do you generally try to convey to others who are seeking transformation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the overarching concept I like to share is that you can have a perspective shift. So, different levels of truth within that phrase. So, what's always, so what's wrong is always available, but so is always what's right. And so, being able to shift that perspective and change what you're focusing on and having gratitude for what you do have and tying that in to medicine and science and research. I don't know if you've seen or heard of the studies they did on water and the structure of water. So they did a couple different iterations of this where they would either yell at the water or set the water on top of different words. So they would yell anger and bad words to the water and take a picture. And the structure of the water actually is completely different, very chaotic looking. And then if you say, I love you to the water and send love to the water, then it's a more harmonious, calm structure of water. So that combined with your perspective and knowing that the human body is mostly water, then the thoughts that we tell ourselves changes the structure of the water in our bodies.
Yes.
So,
I love that you brought this concept up. I literally just mentioned it in the last recording I made.
oh wow, that's amazing.
We were talking about music,
Mm-hmm.
and I said a similar thing. I was like, we're made primarily of water. So if everybody's listening to the same rhythm, the same intonation, if it feels good, it's going to feel good for everybody because we're all made of water.
Absolutely. Yeah, the frequency really matters and will completely change us.
Yeah. What an incredible insight. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. Easier said than done, right? It's a
It,
lot of retraining ourselves to catch it and say, okay, no judgment that I was having that thought about myself, but I'm going to pat myself on the back because I caught it. And now I'm going to reorient and have something positive to say about myself.
yes. Yeah. It's actually huge and people notice when you practice that because it's I mean, it's kind of a societal habit, at least in the United States, to catastrophize or think of the worst possible situations so you can plan ahead for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so retraining out of that can be huge and it'll really be recognized by many people. Um, Honestly, this week I'd been going through a lot of things and someone had mentioned to me, they're like, I love how positive you always are, even like even when you're going through all of it.
That's amazing. What a great compliment for them to notice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, I do gratitude prayer in the morning and the evening because no matter what's going on in life, there's so much to be grateful for that we woke up today
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
we get to live and experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
And very incredible. It reminds me of a slightly corny but very true phrase from college. I don't remember who shared this, but it was that idea that if you only had tomorrow, what you were grateful for today, what would you have?
Aw, that makes me want to cry. Like tears of joy because I all the things I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much abundance, so much gratitude.
Aw, beautiful. So, in your opinion, how can people tap into like this inner magic within themselves to create the life that they envision?
Yeah, I think piggybacking off what we were just talking about of being taking the time and energy to be aware of what their recurring thought patterns are and just experiment and look and see how many times or how much of the day am I thinking about what I don't want or what's going wrong? And how much of the day are you thinking about what is going well and what you do want and what you're working towards and see where the percentages lie? A
Hmm.
lot of our energy can be spent on the gratitude practice, on working towards what is going well, working towards what we do want. And when our minds and our hearts are filled with those thoughts, those emotions, then it naturally propels you forward into that life you are desiring.
Yeah. On the level of something that Master Co, Stephen Co, has said many times is big fish eat small fish. And if you make those thoughts more repetitive, those thought forms get bigger. Um, your patterning of repeating those thoughts happens more often than the negative thoughts. And
Mhm.
that can really envelop your life and wrap you in joy and abundance.
Absolutely.
Such a great point.
And
Um,
there's a lot of visual cues that you can use throughout the day to remind you. You can choose a time that when you always see that time on the clock, you can say, okay, I love myself, and just take a nice deep breath, a centering breath. You can post a picture or a Bible verse or a quote or something inspirational on your bathroom mirror, next to your bedside, at your work cubicle, wherever you are throughout the day, and just nice recentering moments to help retrain your brain to see the gratitude.
wow. Thank you for those tips. I'm sure our listeners will really like using that to try some new things in their lives. So
Yeah.
I do want to go back to one topic that you brought up.
Hmm.
And you had mentioned the gratitude practice. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into what that does energetically. So you and I both have experience with pranic healing, and I want to kind of explain it in a way that people can understand, maybe who don't exactly understand the chakras. But we both know that, when you practice gratitude, it opens your heart chakra a lot more. But what does that look like on a more um simplistic scale for somebody?
Yeah, so I think the best way to describe it is through what I learned in a book called 1000 Gifts by Anne Voskamp. I was recommended to read that when I was in college, and the whole premise of the book is to have a gratitude practice. And so, scientifically, the brain can only process one emotion at a time. So, if you're noticing anxiety and then you stop and have gratitude, you physically cannot experience the anxiety while you're processing the gratitude through your brain. And so when you boil it down to really understand how simple certain things are in the human body, then it makes it way more tangible and easy to understand that really is making an impact to have that gratitude practice. And perhaps on a little bit deeper level, there's these neuronal pathways, and the more you dig, the deeper they go. So if you think about water runoff, water will always choose the easiest path down the mountain, right? So if there's a really shallow groove compared to a groove that is 3 inches deep, the water will divert to the 3 inch deep groove and just keep choosing that groove. So as you, let's say the deep groove is your gratitude practice and the shallow groove is anxiety, the more you carve and carve and carve your gratitude practice, the water will divert there and water won't have a chance to go towards anxiety. And so you're truly healing and establishing a new neurophysiological pattern that when things wire together, they fire together. So, all that to say, having a gratitude practice is very beneficial on multiple levels. And the challenge that is in that book I mentioned by Ann Voskamp is to start a gratitude journal and fill it up with 1,000 things you're grateful for. And I used to challenge my friends when they had birthdays. I would gift them a journal, and this is your challenge. Come up with 1,000 things you're grateful for. And pretty quickly, you'll notice that you start viewing your surroundings differently. And it really brightens the world and opens your heart and allows for more magic moments to be seen that are already happening, but it makes you more aware of them.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, I really like the understanding of the neurological structure as water. That's very intriguing instead of the synapses. I like that. Um, so you reminded me of um oh gosh, I just lost it. Oh well, I guess we don't need to hear about it. uh so what's your next big aspiration on your journey of conscious transformation?
Great question. I would say I would say a continuation of trying to help as many people as possible through naturopathic medicine, through pranic healing. I I really think that pranic healing is almost like the deepest root cause form of healing because it really allows you to clear out what isn't serving you to allow you to move forward in life and with your aspirations. And so being able to incorporate the two and serve a greater population, doing more telehealth to be able to help people around the world, especially since pranic healing is a no-touch healing modality. So it goes side by side with telehealth medicine. And so that's sort of where I'm looking to extend my reach in that capacity.
Amazing. And definitely a completely attainable goal. You're going to do so much wonder for the world and amazing beings out there.
Grateful to be a vessel for the true divine healing to happen for others and just be that vessel. It's an honor.
So, do you have any projects or perhaps groups that you like to participate in projects with that are really just near and dear to your heart right now?
Um, do you mean collaborating with?
That could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I near and dear to my heart are kids. As I shared my journey, I have acquired all this knowledge from so many facets so that I can kind of be like a one-stop shop and not have other kiddos go through seeing 14 different specialists just to keep getting sicker. Again, not everyone's experience, that was just mine. And so I really feel called to help kids in that capacity and to teach families, parents to prevent. In naturopathic medicine, one of our six principles is prevenir, so prevention, so that people can thrive before they even get sick and have to do all this cleanup work. So, through that lens, working with pediatrics, babies, and of course, you work with the parents. And so, a lot of women that I like to support and just set families up for success.
Aw. And working with a younger generation, they'll be set for years and into an adulthood and pass it
Mm.
on to their kids. Such a beautiful legacy. So, do you have any final thoughts, any words of wisdom for our listeners today? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think I might have skipped over a really important part of the journey where kind of pranic healing entered my life. And it was one of those magic moments. And so that could be maybe a nice touch to add. So when I just started medical school, I was it was that first 3 months of being in school, and there was a club called the Applied Kinesiology Club, which is muscle testing. And so I was part of that club, and there was a talk about respiratory adjustments. And I thought, oh, wow, that's a whole new concept. I want to learn about that. So I went to this club meeting, and Dr. Rhonda Steinke was the one hosting this club meeting. She is a naturopathic doctor, she's a pranic healer, and arhatic yogi. And she also does applied kinesiology. So she did all these things. And so in this course, she taught respiratory manipulations. And then at the end, she also taught us about pranic healing. We did meditation on twin hearts, and we were scanning for energy. And I remember being in the back of that room going, wait, what is happening? I'm feeling something. That's not possible. How am I feeling something in between my hands, like a pressure? And so that moment, pranic healing found me. I wasn't even aware of it. And that went on to shape who I am, my healing, and now my ability to help others heal. So I took all the pranic healing classes during medical school, which helped me thrive in medical school and at a time when it's normally very, very intense. It just helped lessen the load a little bit. So
Wow.
that, yeah, that was one of those magic moments that was just orchestrated for me.
And you were doing two schools at once. I mean, taking
Yeah,
those classes isn't a small feat.
yeah, yes. And it was sort of kind of like three schools at once. So I was doing naturopathic medical school, which is like 33 credit hours a quarter. And then I also every weekend was doing applied kinesiology courses. And then thankfully on some of those off weekends were the pranic healing courses. So it was definitely a very busy, busy time, but it all really integrated together, which I'm super thankful for because it showed me at that time how all of these components are such a beautiful marriage and how I'm able to weave them all together for my patients.
Yes. I found that's a really unique set for this new generation is bringing all these pieces together to create these new forms of profession and professionalism and new approaches to what's always been done. But also, it's bringing back kind of old wisdom and knowledge that's always been there. And going back to like our roots of how, medicine women used to take care of their tribes.
Definitely. Yes, they knew how to use the plants around them and just that wisdom passed down through the generations.
Yeah, it's so neat how you are bringing them all together in your own special package.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Um, could you share with our listeners about how long ago was it that you found pranic healing, and how long ago did you start practicing Arhatic yoga?
Yeah, so Pranic Healing found me in
Mhm.
2017, and I progressed maybe a little slower than most through the courses since I was also in school. And then I decided to do Arhatic yoga in 2021. Felt like the right time, and so that was the timeline for me to join.
And you shared how pranic healing really helped you to find ease and more clarity and like awareness when you were in school. But how has Arhatic yoga changed your life?
Yeah, another great question. Arhatic yoga has given me a framework to be able to really reflect on who I am and really develop my character. It's allowed me to dive deeper into more healing, more energy, more ability to be more aware and understand the
Mhm.
so many aspects of life and have more, I would say, deeper clarity um, with what my purpose is and how I want to help others. So many, so many great things have come from Arhatic yoga, and I feel like the list just kind of goes on and on. It changes just kind of how your filters of how you view the world and understanding people, how their different experiences and upbringings shaped them, and how we kind of all are this beautiful tapestry of interwoven fabric that we all need each other. And it's really great to have different points of view and have friends that have different views than you to learn from and to really just honor who you are and continue to develop your character.
Thank you for sharing that. Uh, I feel like character building is not the first thing that people would think of when they hear Arhatic yoga.
Yes, they normally think of a yoga mat and pulling out their blocks and their yoga pants.
But it has been very impactful for me too, and it's really I started it, and I believe it was the fall of 2023, and it's really changed the way I think too, and character has been a huge piece of it.
hmm
And you wouldn't really expect that. I mean, you go to a class and you see these people sitting here like meditating for
hmm
hours, and um they teach these different pillars, and one of them is character building. And I mean, in your life applied, you can meditate all day, but if you don't sit down with yourself and explore what's there, I mean, what are you going to find?
Exactly. And as you're trying to meditate, going back to the big fish eats small fish, it can be really challenging to sit still, have that deep meditation when all those thought forms are swirling and old beliefs about yourself or what other people taught you or wanted you to be. And it's very freeing because as you go through the journey, you're like, well, I'm XYZ. And then, okay, well, who said that? Who said that's who you are and made that rule for yourself? It's like, oh, well, not me. A lot of times, whether it's our parents, people that nannied us, our elementary school teachers, our youth pastors, random people you sit on the bus next to, so many different moments of life that where different things are shared. And I think they're all mostly done out of love and wanting the best for you. And sometimes knowing that you can be different than that, rise higher, or not be in this cookie cutter that someone thought was best for you. And to know that there's so much more you can give when you really clear out the old stuff.
Yeah. And open up to what is,
Hmm.
opening up to what is. Because oftentimes with those impressions that we get from ourselves, from other people, from all of that moving back and forth and becoming, the webs that we create,
Hmm.
um, they fog our light. They fog all the beauty that's underneath, and each of us is a unique individual.
Hmm.
Um, and I personally believe that character building and practicing these practices really helps you to find that beauty within and share it with others because we're all so beautiful. And I've always I've always kind of seen the world through rose-colored glasses and seen the beauty in all the people, but I think you'll notice if you ever do any kind of character building or practice or hatha yoga, you'll start to see the beauty in those that you once judged. And
Hmm.
that's a really incredible change that can happen and can really reshape your reality because what you give out comes back to you. It's in giving that we receive, and we're creating our reality each and every moment, each and every day.
Hmm. That's beautiful. That reminds me of kind of some different levels of that exact what you were sharing, especially with forgiveness. And forgiveness we can view as like level one to be able to forgive somebody, including ourselves. The next level is gratitude. Gratitude for the lesson that you were able to learn through that exchange. And then the third level is compassion. To have compassion for that soul because you know that what you give, you will receive. And knowing that if that person is giving out not necessarily positive things, then you have compassion to know that they will be receiving perhaps not so positive things in return. And it really shifts how you see the world. And I too, I would say I Tend to see the world through rose-colored glasses.
And it's not always at our benefit.
No. No, it's not.
Thank you so much. Where can our listeners find and follow your work, or how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, deeplyrootedhealinghaven.com, and the same name for the handles on Facebook and Instagram. I am on those social platforms.
Excellent. I'll link them in the description
Perfect.
for everybody. Thank you so much. So at the end of the podcast, I usually like to do a meditation. And what's really coming through for me right now is just to do the soul affirmation for everybody.
Okay.
Um, it's a very simple affirmation that Master Choa Koksui came up with. Um, and I actually find it quite meditative, but it brings you back to yourself. And it can be very helpful like in those times of stress or when you kind of get caught in a thought loop or maybe when you just need a moment of clarity. So I'll encourage everyone to just close their eyes. If you're driving or operating heavy machinery, just pause. Don't endanger yourself right now and do it. Just do it later. So we'll close our eyes and uncross our arms, uncross our legs. You can bring your palms face up on your lap. You can bring your palms to heart center. You can bring your palms face down if that's more comfortable to you. And just take a moment to sit a little bit straighter. Recognize your posture and just allow your spine to sit a little taller. An imaginary line just pulling you up, up, up through the crown of your head. And take a deep breath and sigh it all out. And just take a moment to thank that which you believe in, thank that higher guidance for being present with you. And you can repeat this if you would like out loud. You can repeat it in your mind. Do what feels right. I am that I am. I'm not this body. I'm not any of the thoughts nor the emotions. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am that. This is the truth, regardless of the capacity of the brain to experience the truth. I am that. I am. I am the soul. I am. And sit in stillness for a moment. Focus on the crown, the top of your head. Bring your awareness to the surface of the body. Bring your awareness to the center of your heart. And just imagine it blossoming like a beautiful rose. And inside you see somebody you love. It can be a pet, a loved one. And just smile at them. And bring your awareness back to the surface of your body. all the way down through your fingers, through your toes. And slowly start wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers. Imagining roots of light coming through your feet and going down deep into the earth. And slowly, slowly open your eyes, look around the room, look off the screen, bring your awareness back to this space, back to this moment. And recognize what is, what the experience is in this moment, in your body right now. And slowly bring your awareness back to the screen. If you're watching, smile, feel good about it, and give thanks. Give gratitude to that which you believe in. And I'm so grateful that you joined us today. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your beautiful story, your insights. You are truly inspiring and such a dear friend. I'm so grateful that you joined us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Sammy.
You're
You're
welcome.
such a beautiful divine soul, and creating this platform to be able to help more people is such an admirable quality about you. So thank you for letting me be part of your journey and hopefully touching more souls.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a gift to have you today on Blissfully Lit. And to all those listeners, stay blissful.